What if the moment a woman becomes attracted to an older man, she doesn't confess it? Instead, she tests him. Not with obvious questions, but with two subtle ones that quietly reveal whether he truly has the confidence, emotional stability, and life experience she's drawn to. In the dynamics of attraction, desire is rarely expressed directly, especially when a woman finds herself drawn to an older man. Instead of openly stating her feelings, she often becomes curious. She observes, she listens, and most importantly, she asks questions that appear simple on the surface, but carry deeper psychological meaning. These questions are not random. They are quiet filters designed to understand who the man truly is beneath his age, status, or experience. For many women, attraction toward an older man is rooted in the expectation of maturity, emotional control, and a grounded sense of purpose. But before allowing that attraction to deepen, she unconsciously tests whether the man actually embodies those qualities. A woman who desires an older man is rarely looking for someone who merely acts confident. She is looking for someone who is confident in a calm and natural way. That's why her tests are subtle rather than confrontational. They come in the form of everyday conversation, simple curiosity, light teasing, questions that seem casual but are carefully placed to reveal emotional character. Often, the first test arrives in a form that sounds almost playful. She may ask about a man's past, his experiences, or the lessons he has learned from life. It might sound like harmless curiosity. What have you learned from your relationships? Or, what's the biggest mistake you've made in life? But beneath that question lies a deeper intention. She is watching how he handles vulnerability. Does he answer with maturity and reflection? Or does he become defensive, bitter, or insecure? Women who feel attraction toward older men are often drawn to wisdom and emotional depth. They want to see whether life has shaped the man into someone grounded, or whether it has left him resentful and guarded. When a man answers calmly, without the need to impress or exaggerate, it signals emotional security. That response quietly strengthens her attraction because it confirms the qualities she hoped age would bring. But if the response reveals insecurity, blame, arrogance, or avoidance, the attraction weakens. The test is not about the story he tells, it's about the emotional tone behind it. The second question often appears in a different form. Instead of looking backward at the past, she looks toward the future. She may ask something like, "What are you working toward now?" Or, "What excites you about the next few years of your life?" At first glance, it sounds like ordinary conversation. But psychologically, it reveals something important. Direction. Women attracted to older men are rarely seeking someone stuck in nostalgia. Age alone does not create attraction. Purpose does. A man who speaks about the future with clarity, even if his plans are simple, demonstrates that his life still has movement, curiosity, and ambition. This question helps her understand whether he is living with intention or simply drifting through time. A man who answers with passion, focus, or thoughtful reflection signals that his maturity comes with vision. That combination, experience plus direction, creates a powerful form of attraction. What makes these tests fascinating is that many men never realize they are happening. They treat the questions casually, unaware that their responses shape how the woman perceives them emotionally. And here is where the psychology becomes even more interesting. Women who desire older men are often sensitive to authenticity. They are not looking for perfection. They are looking for emotional steadiness. When a man remains relaxed, grounded, and self-aware during these conversations, he communicates something powerful without saying it directly. He knows who he is. Confidence in this context is not loud. It is not about proving intelligence, status, or success. Instead, it is quiet composure. The ability to answer honestly without needing approval. The ability to speak about the past without bitterness and about the future without desperation. When a man responds this way, the conversation shifts. What started as a test begins to feel like connection. The woman senses that the man is comfortable in his own skin, and that comfort allows her to relax her guard as well. But when a man feels pressured to impress, when he exaggerates achievements, avoids honest answers, or seeks validation, the subtle tension becomes noticeable. Attraction fades not because he failed a question, but because the emotional energy behind his response reveals uncertainty. These two questions, simple as they seem, act like small windows into a man's inner world. Through them, a woman observes how he carries his experiences and where he is moving in life. They are less about words and more about presence. And when a man answers with calm clarity, something interesting happens. The tests stop feeling like tests. They transform into curiosity, conversation, and the quiet beginning of attraction. Women rarely express attraction immediately, especially when they are still evaluating a man's character. Instead, they often observe his emotional strength first. This doesn't usually happen through direct confrontation or obvious challenges. It happens through subtle moments in conversation, small disagreements, playful teasing, or unexpected questions. These situations allow her to quietly study how a man reacts when his confidence, patience, or composure is slightly challenged. Emotional strength, from a woman's perspective, is not about dominance or aggression. It is about stability. She wants to see whether a man can remain calm, grounded, and self-assured, even when the interaction becomes uncertain or unpredictable. For example, she may tease him lightly or question one of his opinions. In that moment, she is not necessarily trying to create conflict. She is observing whether he becomes defensive, irritated, or insecure, or whether he remains relaxed and confident in himself. This testing process is often unconscious. Many women do not intentionally plan it, but it naturally emerges as part of their instinct to feel emotionally safe with someone. If a man reacts with insecurity, tries too hard to win approval, or becomes overly reactive, it signals emotional fragility. That kind of response can reduce attraction because it suggests that he may struggle to handle pressure or emotional complexity in the future. On the other hand, when a man responds with calm confidence, humor, or thoughtful perspective, it communicates strength without force. He does not need to prove himself or fight for validation. His composure shows that he is comfortable with who he is, and that emotional stability creates a sense of safety and intrigue. When a woman sees that a man can handle small tests with maturity and self-control, her curiosity often deepens. The attraction grows not because he tried to impress her, but because his reactions revealed quiet confidence and emotional resilience. When women interact with older men, their expectations often shift in subtle but important ways. Age carries certain assumptions. Fair or not, many women naturally associate older men with life experience, emotional maturity, and a stronger sense of direction. Because of this, the way they evaluate an older man is often very different from how they evaluate someone closer to their own age. With younger men, attraction may be influenced more by excitement, chemistry, or spontaneity. But with older men, women often look beyond surface qualities. They become more attentive to emotional depth, stability, and the way a man carries himself in conversation. Instead of focusing only on charm or humor, they pay attention to whether his words and actions reflect wisdom, patience, and confidence built through experience. This doesn't mean women expect perfection from older men. Instead, they expect authenticity and composure. An older man who appears insecure, overly reactive, or desperate for validation can quickly lose the advantage that his age might have given him. If his behavior feels emotionally immature, the contrast becomes noticeable. The expectation of maturity is already there, so when it is missing, it stands out more clearly. On the other hand, when an older man demonstrates calm confidence and emotional awareness, it can be very attractive. His presence may feel more grounded. He may listen more carefully, speak more thoughtfully, and avoid the need to constantly prove himself. These qualities create a sense of emotional safety that many women find appealing. Women also tend to observe how an older man views his own life. Does he speak about his experiences with reflection and growth, or does he dwell on regrets and bitterness? Does he have a sense of direction moving forward, or does he seem stuck in the past? These observations help a woman understand whether his age represents wisdom and stability, or simply time that has passed. Because of these expectations, older men are often evaluated through a deeper emotional lens. Attraction becomes less about momentary excitement and more about character, presence, and the quiet confidence that comes from truly knowing oneself. In many interactions, the most revealing moments do not come from direct statements, but from subtle questions that seem casual on the surface. Women often use these questions as a quiet way to understand a man's personality, confidence, and emotional boundaries. Instead of asking bluntly about his character, they observe how he responds when conversation naturally moves into certain topics. Through these small exchanges, they gain insight into who he really is. A subtle question might sound simple, such as asking what he enjoys doing in his free time, how he spends his weekends, or what goals he is currently focused on. While these questions appear ordinary, they reveal something deeper. A man who speaks with clarity and enthusiasm about his interests or ambitions often communicates confidence and purpose. His answer shows that he has direction in life and that his time is guided by personal values rather than constant external approval. Boundaries also become visible through these conversations. For example, a woman may ask about his opinions, his priorities, or how he handles certain situations in relationships. She is not only listening to his words, but observing whether he expresses himself honestly. A confident man does not feel pressured to give answers that simply please the other person. Instead, he shares his perspective calmly while respecting the conversation. This balance shows that he values himself while also remaining open and respectful. Subtle questions can also reveal emotional maturity. When discussing past experiences, challenges, or lessons learned, the tone of a man's response matters more than the story itself. If he speaks with reflection and self-awareness, it suggests growth and stability. If he becomes defensive, dismissive, or overly boastful, it can signal insecurity. Through these small conversational moments, a clearer picture begins to form. Confidence appears in the way a man speaks about himself without exaggeration. Boundaries appear in his ability to remain authentic without seeking approval. And life direction appears in the purpose and intention behind his words. What seems like casual conversation often becomes a quiet window into a person's deeper character. In many conversations about attraction, physical appearance is often the first thing people mention. While physical traits can initially capture attention, they are rarely the qualities that sustain deeper attraction over time. Emotional stability, on the other hand, has a powerful and lasting influence on how a person is perceived. For many women, a man's ability to remain calm, balanced, and emotionally grounded can be far more attractive than outward physical features. Emotional stability creates a sense of safety in interactions. When a man is comfortable with his emotions and able to handle stress, disagreements, or uncertainty without becoming reactive, it sends a strong signal about his character. This kind of composure shows that he is not easily shaken by small challenges or emotional fluctuations. Instead of reacting impulsively, he responds thoughtfully and with control. In contrast, someone who may have impressive physical traits but struggles with insecurity, jealousy, or unpredictable moods can quickly lose appeal. Physical attraction may create initial curiosity, but emotional instability often leads to tension and discomfort over time. People naturally gravitate toward those who make them feel relaxed and understood, rather than constantly uncertain. Emotional stability also allows a person to communicate more effectively. A man who listens carefully, expresses himself calmly, and handles misunderstandings without anger or defensiveness demonstrates maturity. These qualities often create deeper trust, which plays an important role in forming genuine connections. Another reason emotional stability is so attractive is that it reflects self-awareness. A man who understands his own feelings and manages them responsibly often appears more confident and grounded. He does not need to seek constant reassurance or approval because his sense of identity is already secure. While physical traits may catch the eye at first, emotional stability often determines whether attraction grows stronger or fades away. Over time, the ability to remain composed, respectful, and emotionally balanced becomes one of the most powerful signals of true confidence and reliability. In many early interactions between men and women, attraction is not determined only by appearance, charm, or conversation. It is often shaped by how a man responds to small, subtle tests that occur naturally during communication. These tests are rarely obvious. They may appear as playful teasing, unexpected questions, mild disagreements, or moments where a woman challenges a statement or opinion. While they may seem insignificant, the way a man reacts in these situations can strongly influence whether attraction deepens or begins to fade. A confident response usually reflects emotional control and self-assurance. When a man stays calm, relaxed, and good-humored during these moments, it communicates that he is comfortable with himself. He does not feel threatened by a playful challenge or a difference in opinion. Instead of reacting defensively, he might respond with light humor, thoughtful explanation, or simple confidence in his perspective. This type of reaction often strengthens attraction because it shows emotional stability and maturity. On the other hand, when a man becomes overly defensive, irritated, or eager to prove himself, it can signal insecurity. For example, if he feels the need to argue excessively, justify every action, or seek immediate approval, the interaction may start to feel tense rather than enjoyable. In many cases, it is not the content of the response that matters most, but the emotional tone behind it. Confidence feels relaxed and natural, while insecurity often feels forced or reactive. Another important factor is authenticity. A man who responds honestly and calmly shows that he is not trying to perform or impress at all costs. This authenticity can make the interaction feel genuine, which naturally builds trust and curiosity. Ultimately, these small moments act like quiet turning points. When handled with composure and confidence, they allow attraction to grow. But when handled with tension or insecurity, they can slowly weaken the sense of connection before it even has the chance to develop.